They put me in the hardest halfway house in the state of Arizona for federal purposes. So I had to do 90 days there, 3 years probation, and a couple fines, whatever it was. Mine's so petty, why give me a pardon?
Would you be honored to get a pardon or offended at this point?
I'd be honored.
You would still be honored?
Yeah, oh yeah, even if I don't get a pardon, but he invites me to the White House, I get to shake his hand or something. I'm cool with that too. Recognize my name because, and that in the way I'm trying to glorify myself, but
more so like what you've been through or what the government put you through.
Yeah, well that, and we went there in protest for this country and for President Trump.
Alrighty, so we're over here at AMFEST. I'm with Macaijah Jackson and Irvin. The last time I spoke to MJ was about 2 years ago. He had just gotten over his J6 sentencing. So now we're gonna do a quick follow-up with MJ.
Yeah. So the whole sentencing process, it was more of what I said, not what I physically did or acted out on January 6, 2021 at the US Capitol. They went over, they watched every interview I've done. They read pretty much every tweet I've ever posted. They had left-wing media people looking over me and creating articles and whatever they were pushing on CNN a couple times. So even the prosecutor went on a 22-minute tangent just going over my speech, and he actually says, it's recorded and documented, that I was a danger, my voice and what I said was a danger to society pretty much.
And give me an example of what he thought was a danger.
Calling January 6th a psyop and a politically motivated coup to overthrow Trump and get him out of office. And calling out the FBI informants like Luke Robinson.
Yeah, and so recently a report just came out that about 26 informants were actually there that they're telling us about. Who knows what they're not telling us still, almost 4 years later.
Yes.
Do you feel a little vindicated?
Yeah, I always knew I was right. You know, it's good that was coming out. But if you actually go back to early 2021, I was one of the first few people that was saying there was federal informants there was something going on and calling this some form of psyop. And the moment I started pushing that narrative, the harsher the government came after me more in the media. And even there was prominent people in right-wing media that didn't say anything like that or didn't agree with that narrative until a year, maybe a year and a half after January 6th, when reports started coming out more, maybe about like Ray Epps or Luke Robinson. But I was one of the first few guys that said, hey, no, there was FBI informants there was something going on, this was some form of psyop. And because of that, they did everything to pretty much try to silence me.
Do you think that the FBI leaked information to the press to post these hit pieces about you?
The FBI or the DOJ? One of the two. Someone did it because my sentencing memo, that was released in February of 2022, the Sunday before President's Day. So let's get two things clear here. Maybe one thing, two, maybe whatever. So the DOJ or the Assistant U.S. Attorney's Office, whoever's doing this, I think it's the DOJ, they don't work on Sundays. Unless you're typing up something at home, but they don't work on Sunday. They're not in an office on Sunday. Then Monday, a national federal holiday, they're not going to work Monday. So how does the media get private information on a Sunday night before a federal holiday, before my lawyer even gets anything, or myself, and my lawyer contacted me Tuesday. So my lawyer wasn't even working Sunday or Monday. But somehow information gets leaked to the media before I even get it? No, that's an inside job. That grants more than a pardon. That grants everything. I shouldn't have this charge. This should be expunged. People need to go to jail for other acts that were committed against us. But there is something inside nefarious that we all know what happened. It was an inside job by government officials.
So what happened with your case ultimately?
Yeah.
Are you completely done with it?
Yes. So, and then I won.
How so?
Let's see. Well, because of how I spoke about J6 using the media and coming to rallies, the government had to recess and take 2 weeks off to sentence me, because I was supposed to get sentenced, but with everything being challenged, because even my lawyer said, so wait, you guys are coming after Mr. Jackson for what he was saying and being somewhere, but where he was at wasn't the crime. It was the fact that he went inside, but you guys are coming after what he said. There's something drawn here of the First Amendment. So they had to and because of the tangent Sean Murphy went on, they had to recess the court and reschedule a sentencing hearing. And so he wanted to give me 60 days in prison with 3 years probation. I got out of the 60 days, but they gave me 90 days in a halfway house. Later to find out, they put me in the hardest halfway house in the state of Arizona for federal purposes.
Interesting.
So I had to do 90 days there, 3 years probation, and a couple fines, whatever it was. But earlier this year, March of 2024, I applied for early release to get off probation, and the federal judge agreed with my probation letter, and my probation officer advocated for me to get off probation early. So I was actually released off probation 1 year early from everything. Because if I wasn't released, I wouldn't be off probation until March. And we don't know how many pardons Trump's going to give to people, if he's going to do day one blanket pardons, because...
Or case by case.
Yeah, that, and there's also the case of, mine's so petty, why give me a pardon? I have everything else.
Would you be honored to get a pardon or offended at this point?
I'd be honored.
You would still be honored?
Yeah. Oh yeah. Even if I don't get a pardon, but he invites me to the White House, and I get to shake his hand or something. I'm cool with that too. It's just recognize my name, because, and that in the way I'm trying to glorify myself, but
more so like what you've been through or what the government put you through.
Yeah, well, that, and we went there in protest for this country and for President Trump. Like I understood. He got thrown out. It was a coup. It was an inside job. We legitimately had a coup in our own government, and people don't want to believe that's fine, but that's what a coup is.
Yeah, exactly. And this year was too big to rig.
Yeah. No, I was going through the numbers.
Yeah.
I actually went into rural counties, America, where I grew up in Montana and Ohio, and I decided to go through the data of the last 3 elections. And there was an uptick of 3% in rural counties across America.
Registered voters.
Yeah.
Awesome.
People coming out to vote.
Yeah. So this year for January 6th, do you think anything similar will happen? Or from the left perspective, do you think there will be any outside agitators trying to stir up the crowd in DC? Or what do you think will happen?
No, I think there's going to be people out there anyways. I think we're going to see more of a show in Congress, the Hollywood scene, just Democratic, even maybe some Republican people might come out. Who knows? They're just going to cry about it, get their votes, or they're going to try to stage some little small stupid protest, but nothing like J6. I think, because we're already seeing posters and signs being shared online, they're organizing massive protests for January 20th, the inauguration of next year. And that's going to be interesting with the inauguration. And it makes you wonder if they're going to have, how many protests or marches are they going to have around the city surrounding the inauguration. And I'm more looking at, are we going to be able to safely walk out of there back to the hotel or back to our cars without being assaulted by some of these people protesting?
Yeah, and we've seen that before. At least I've firsthand seen it before, going to some of the Stop the Steal protests in December.
Oh yeah. Even congressmen were getting spit at.
Yeah,
so if you think it was bad now,
grannies and kids were getting assaulted as well, going back to their hotels, and the police was doing nothing.
Yeah,
well, that's a local police issue.
And how the left operates, for them to be this silent is that is something to be concerned about.
They've been completely silent this whole election season. So if you don't know, normally the left, they're up in arms, especially if someone like Trump wins. No protest, absolutely zero resistance against the people who call themselves the resistance.
I will also counter that in a way, even though I agree with what we just said more, but also I agree in the sense, they had COVID, they had Biden for 4 years, even Trump, the 2015 through 21, where Trump first got elected. They had their riots throughout those 4 years, and there's also the counter argument where maybe they're just completely drained out now. They did what they could, and now it's, what can we do now to stop this? Or if we go back to reason one, what we talked about, they're silent and they got something nefarious planned.
Who knows at this point?
You got all the media wants to focus on that. So much others, you got the drones now. what's going on in Syria, Ukraine, Russia, Israel, Gaza, all of these distractions and to keep us away from what we really need to do to put America first.
Yeah, to fix this country.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
They're still stuck on this globalist mindset, and somehow even Trump's the magical man to make all these peace deals. Not saying you can't get them done, but the fact that they're looking on Trump to make all these deals to stop the wars, it's like, okay, how much are we playing here?
Yeah, and Antifa has been completely silent. Honestly, they've been disbanded in SoCal, at least for the time being, because there was an Antifa cell in San Diego that actually saw prison sentencing because they assaulted people on January 6th, of all things.
Yeah.
So it finally caught up with them. Their actions finally caught up with them. They weren't at the Capitol. They were staging a protest against what was happening at the Capitol, ironically enough. And they pepper sprayed civilians, and they ended up going to prison over it. Yeah, good, I believe, like 6 or 7 of them. And some of them got even 2 years. So I think they're finally realizing that their actions do have consequences. After terrorizing America for, again, the past 6-7 years prior. Yeah. So,
well, that, and I think a lot of these judges live in these communities, and they're probably looking at it like, we got to clean this stuff up. And they also sold the mandate. There was a full-on mandate that Trump was president, and we took control of Congress. But Congress is acting like we didn't take control. But we'll see what happens. I'm going to let it play out. There's people that are always going to spit on Trump and despise him, yada yada is this, and it's just get the job done. This is a unique moment in history.
The last 4 years, I got people everywhere. I have people everywhere telling me that they haven't seen the energy this high in their whole lives. Like older gentlemen telling me that they've never seen the Republican base so rallied and so unified.
Yeah, I wouldn't say that we are unified.
Yeah.
Because if we were, for instance, I'm not a groyper, I'm not a Nick Fuentes big type of guy. I mean, if I hear him, I follow him on X.
Yeah.
He tweets stuff, says stuff. I just, whatever. He's just another guy to me.
Yeah.
You really can't be unified when there's a lot of young men they're in that age, or the Groyper crew or America First crew, or they're getting shunned out of these movements, or getting kicked out, or allowing certain debauchery movements into the Republican Party, even though I've never been a Republican, but gays against groomers and all this. I mean, you're going to allow these people to come in, but you're going to, guys that really love their country and they say they're Christian, they are Christian, and they're just going to get shunned down, pushed out. I mean, that's not unified. But in a sense, we are seeing more of a movement come together, but there's still a lot of work to get done. But it starts with dismantling both parties, I believe. We don't need a Republican or a Democratic Party. There's no reason for it. You can still have a Congress and everything without parties. The parties just make it easier for organization.
Alrighty, so I just saw recently that you converted. You were once Catholic and now you're Orthodox?
Well, I was never Catholic.
You're never Catholic.
I would never be Catholic in my life. No offense to Catholic.
None taken.
No, I was Lutheran my whole life.
Lutheran, yes.
Very hard Protestant, I guess you could say. Faith alone, Scriptura, what's confession, yada yada. And you see a lot of younger men. I'll be 29 next month. I'm still pretty young, bless the Lord. But you see a lot of the younger men convert into Catholicism or even Orthodoxy because it's more masculine, or the traditions. For me, it has nothing to do with masculinity or traditions.
Yeah.
The traditions are just part of it, and it's just a blessing with it. For me, it's legitimately about the conviction and truth of Jesus Christ and what was actually being taught since the beginning until present day. And we have to realize the Bible wasn't put together until 4th century in Greek. It was first translated into Greek from Hebrew. So those first 3 centuries, it was physically taught and verbally spoken by Christ himself, the 12 apostles, then their disciples, and the bishops and the continuous original Orthodox Church growing until Catholicism came with the West and the East with the Great Schism, yada, yada. That's a whole different topic. We're not getting it. That's just politics. But we're just talking about faith and conviction in general. For me, it was not about these traditions and these traditions. I'll just go with traditions. But Oh, masculinity. There we go. Because I hear that so much of young men, and what they're saying on YouTube is it's like, no. Or the structure. You talked about structure too.
Yeah.
The structure is nice, but also for me, the structure is just part of it. That's just the blessing of being Orthodox. And I'm not Orthodox yet. I'm a catechumen. I'm in catechism to become and be part of the church. I guess you could still say I'm Lutheran, but I no longer attend service. I no longer partake in communion. Studying the Orthodox way, what Christ originally taught, and going through the process, what I have to do to become Orthodox, to be part of the church.
Yeah. And do you think one of the reasons why the social fabric of this country is lessening is because we don't have, a strong unity under the church?
Yes. Well, even though I've talked to my Orthodox father about it, one of the first things we were talking about was, obviously Protestantism, Lutherans, other churches. But you go back to the early foundings of this nation, it was founded by Puritans, Pilgrims, Quakers came in, very old Anglo-Saxon, Protestant Christians. But they were faithful to the T. They followed a lot of their traditions. But over time, those traditions and convictions have just slowly been disappearing, and they've been changing in evolution into each culture and society through our time to fit into that culture and society. But as we know, Jesus Christ clearly says we're not part of this world. We're not supposed to fit in. So while the church is changing and the world is constantly changing, and with the sin and the passions of the lust and what we want and what we desire as a human flesh, you can't have that. The Orthodox Church it's never talked about that. It's never changed.
Yeah. So I have a hot question right here.
Yeah.
So the First Amendment, freedom of religion.
It was
do you believe in freedom of religion?
Yes, for Christians. If you go back to the founding fathers, it was never meant for any other religion but Christians. Their idea was like, who else would come here? Hindus are not coming here. Jews are not coming here.
Satanists.
Muslims is not. Yeah, if you were a Satanist, the Salem witch trials. That was before we became a country in the First Amendment, but that just shows you how the founding of the Christians thought.
Yeah,
even though there was a lot of practices among Protestants in the early Christian phases of that, but besides the point, these ideas, these cultures, traditions, or Constitution is based off Christianity and the Ten Commandments. So when you look at this, it was never meant for other religions. The First Amendment was particularly made to protect Christians in America because of what happened in England. First, you had the Roman Catholics and the Pope going after them. Then you had the Church of England going after them. So there was constantly a fight with the Church of England, the Pope, and just other Christians. And they didn't want that. They just wanted to come here without some form of government authority that's going to dictate how they worship and where they worship at. That was up to God. But they still wanted the government, but not in the way it was going to control the church.
Yeah. And so how many days a week do you go to church?
So this week it'll be 3. It would be 4, but my realtor came over today, so I didn't get to go to Great Vespers this morning. Today we're honoring St. Nicholas, the wonder worker.
Oh, okay. Awesome.
That's where they got Santa Claus' name from, but the real Santa Claus is St. Nicholas, the gift giver or the wonder worker that, besides giving gold nugs to kids and gifts, he was also strong in his faith, and he slapped a clergyman for blasphemy.
Yeah.
And that was not looked upon during those times. But he did not tolerate tolerance. And one of the greatest stories that isn't talked about him is long after he passed away and he was in the glorification union of Jesus Christ, Constantine, that protected and pushed the first wave of protecting Christianity to worship legally and protect us and not in harms of persecution, was Constantine. St. Nicholas, the story is from Constantine. He had a dream of St. Nicholas multiple days, and St. Nicholas was telling him, like, this is me, I'm the bishop of this church. And Constantine found out, oh, well, St. Nicholas was a real person. He was the bishop of this church, and he's in my dream. This is him. Like, this is the icon of St. Nicholas. This is who's in my dream. And he told him to release 3 generals that were due to be executed because they were innocent men, and he released them.
Oh, nice.
The saints, the holiness of Orthodoxy just being in presence of the Lord. That's the whole purpose of it.
Yeah, that's awesome. Did you want to add anything, Irvin?
Yeah, I mean, look, I'm gonna be the odd man out in the sense that I'm the Catholic here, so I got to be the apologist here.
No, there's nothing to be apologized. You still believe in Jesus, man. You don't have to apologize on anything.
Yeah, we're still.
Did I apologize for you for calling you a Catholic? No, I'm not going to apologize, but I'm still going to respect you as another man and another Christian.
Yeah.
But I see, man.
No, I'm actually personally very happy that at least you're, whatever you're calling it yourself, be it a journey of personal discovery here. Just going towards truth. I do, even though, yes, I have to stump for Catholicism, the Pope's, even when he's not exactly, having this baseness, it is still a refreshing thing. And, we're actually going to bring this up. But yeah, young men like us, they're becoming more and more. I mean, you got that New York Post story that has that's saying that 18 to 24-year-olds are becoming Orthodox in record numbers now. I mean, do you see that attendance in your local parish?
Yes, since I've been there, I'm starting to see every Sunday I see so many younger faces, and I'm glad they're coming on Sundays. And by the grace of our Lord, if I get the chance to go Monday through Friday, I will go Monday through Friday now because of Orthodoxy.
Good.
But just to see the younger people win and the younger women and the kids and the marriage is like, wow, this is beautiful. Even there's people in there that are in the boomer generation that are going through this year-long process to become Orthodox. Imagine being in your 60s and 70s wanting to become Orthodox. That's even more convincing right there, But yeah, I mean, a lot of it probably goes to structure and the traditions for a lot of those younger men. But for me, having some form of structure and traditions already, but the Orthodox Church really embraces it more, the true traditions of it. It was the conviction. These American Protestant churches are dying. They're losing conviction.
Especially
they're Baptists. Catering more Baptists, other forms of Lutherans. Oh yeah, they're catering to the council, their money. They don't want to offend people. Today we just had someone walk by us. It had a giant shirt that said, "Jesus is love." Jesus is love. He died on the cross for our sins. But Jesus wasn't tolerant. He'll still confront you, but he's going to do it out of love. But the moment you repent and confess and no longer live the life, we become in one in union.
Yeah. Too many of us, unfortunately, are fallen from his love. I mean, it's like my catechism teacher said, "Hey, if you don't show up tomorrow to church, Jesus himself isn't going to be like, hey, you're sad, that's one less out in the world." Like, not necessarily, but
think about the catacombs.
We all push ourselves away from Christ.
Yep.
I mean, and again, I might be the example of a relatively bad Catholic, but it is something that I still acknowledge, and gotta tighten up the screws on that. But
you could be a bad Catholic, you could be a bad Orthodox, but you can't be a bad Christian.
Yeah, but that is why Jesus has grace and not in the Protestant way. It's there is still, like I said, I'm personally a Catholic because of familial affiliation. I was baptized into it. I like my small church. I like the sense of community. I'm one of those people you catch me singing there.
I don't even know if you would consider Roman Catholicism a small church. I mean, more Protestant churches are smaller than Catholicism. Now, there's the big ones, but the churches I grew up in, the small Lutheran ones, they were small.
Oh, yeah.
But even the Orthodox church, they're small. But Orthodoxy, even though it's small, churches are popping everywhere. Since 2020, America had about 700,000 Orthodox. We're about 7 million now.
Oh, I see them.
I couldn't even. I'm like, wow.
I'm telling you, when I drive by in Fountain Valley and Anaheim, both of those are full. Like, especially the one in Anaheim has a presence right there at the Labor Day festival over at the Orange Circle. It's world famous, and it's a shame because one of my friends was supposed to come over and he just didn't make it. But that guy is, again, he's well versed in it. He's well studied in it, and all these guys. There is a semblance of young men that actually, especially in the Orthodox, I do see them out there. Like, I'm a member of the Knights of Columbus, but even then, it's few and far between. It's few and far between when we actually have monthly meetings.
Yeah, you got to be consistent with them. Yeah, for me, you talked about the Pope and how you disagree with him from time to time, and that's for me being Lutheran. It was always being anti-Pope. The Orthodox say, well, the Pope was always the first Protestant. I don't.
Yeah, that's
gritty, for me it's like, okay, I'm not gonna say it to other people, but for me, I've always been against anti-Pope in a way, but also I like the Orthodox structure. When I studied it up more, it reminds me a way of more of democracy, even though in America we're a republic, but it comes from democracy. But the reason why I like the Orthodoxy is because the patriarchy is a group of 5 high up bishops. I think they're called, I could have them wrong if I'm wrong, my apologies.
Bishops in Orthodoxy.
But there's 5 main ones, and there's a check and balance in on all of them with like, hey, right now there's a lot of people battling the Greek Orthodox Church because the government is trying to really push the LGBT stuff into the Orthodox way. And even my father, it's Russian Orthodox, but it's American. But my father, my priest, he says he advised me, do not attend Greek services for in time being until they get checked. So it's just that reason. It's like it fully gives you that trust more and like that balance of making sure they don't break off and there's something that being misspread on the gospel or what's going on through the Orthodox ways. Compared to the Roman Church, you just have the Roman Pope, and it's really hard to really put a balance on that guy. Once they put him in there.
Yeah, there's even a lot of Catholic churches that unfortunately are very, they commit a lot of errors in it. Like even my local one, I've fought with my priest, but that guy's already towards retirement. But, they kept the old COVID measures of, you have to take our communion, in your mouth.
Yeah.
They still do it in the hand. And it's like, you're literally taking, Christ, it's disrespectful. And, and even Vatican
some
has
churches
said
still
you can
wear
do
gloves.
And then they have female,
pastors, chaplains. There's someone that's really
the helpers. They're still supposed to be male, because even Pope Francis actually did put 5 years ago. He actually did say, hey, I'm putting a rule down, a decree that women can never be ordained as priests.
Yeah,
I mean that's basic, but still, there's always these. Moves to liberalize it, and what you can even get into the whole thing of like how quote unquote Catholic charities are aiding to our immigration issue. I know that's a weird tangent, but there's errors all around.
Lutherans are doing it too. I found Lutheran cargo vans around my area of Phoenix I live in, which is very heavy illegal aliens.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, man, it's interesting seeing those all the time. They were a Lutheran charity cargo vans, and it's like I haven't seen those until recently. Where was it when Trump was in office?
Yeah. Well, that's the problem.
But no, even some of these charities need to be looked into over that stuff. And even though they're going to try to say, well, we're protected religious reasons, but you're really not doing anything religious there when you're
they're doing
profiting off money off there and doing illegal activities.
They're doing heavy lifting off that phrase that, they say, oh, Catholics are supposed to help the poor and the destitute and all that. Yeah. And it immediately becomes, subversive speak for, hey, you just got to let the whole world in.
Yep.
And trust me, now as a second generation, citizen now, even my dad of all people that wasn't illegal now sees it from that point of view now that he became a citizen, that he's like, yeah, you see these wherever they're from, Venezuela, Haiti, whatever. And it's like, it's worse now than it's ever been.
Yeah.
And it's all these charities that need to be looked at.
Mm-hmm. All righty, guys. And so really quick before we go, so Trump is obviously going to get inaugurated. What would you like Trump to tackle the most in his next 4 years of office?
We really have the bureaucracy within the federal government with all these different departments. Some need to shrink, some need to completely disappear, and some need reform. Here's a question for you. Does the KGB still exist in Russia?
Ooh, is it a trick question? Just yes or no?
Yes or no?
I would say yes.
No, the KGB no longer exists. They've been disbanded, gone since the collapse of the Soviet Union. Does Russia now have some sort of like FBI secret police? Yeah, but nothing compared to the KGB. These guys were executing people and doing things. Now the FBI, They weren't. They're now, mind you, they're now out here doing Soviet Union executions in a way, but the surveillance
Ruby
states.
Ridge.
Yeah,
Right.
well, that's ATF and more, but the FBI, just the surveillance, making up false claims, lies, what they did to Trump, even being part of J6, they can't exist. You can't reform a department like that.
Yeah, they even kneeled for George Floyd. There's a picture of a
that's
fat female lady kneeling in a plate carrier.
Yeah. First of all, I don't even know how you're an FBI agent.
In a mask, too.
You have to, if you're going to be an FBI, the most notorious American police unit, you need to be in shape. You need to be able to run a mile under, depending on your age, I say under 10 minutes for, once you...
Yeah, have standards. Bring back standards.
Yeah, 10 minutes is fine. Qualify firearms, yada, yada. But if you're knocking on my door and I see you're overweight, I don't care if you're a Fed or anyone else, I'm just going to run. I'm going to make you chase me. Even if I'm not guilty or not. If you're that fat, I'm like, let's have fun then. I'll put on more charges.
Yeah, that's crazy.
But besides the point, there needs to be looked at. You see guys like that with Elon and Vivek with Doge.
Yeah, so Doge.
For me, everyone talks about spending and money. Yeah, you want to be fiscally conservative and fix that. For me, we need to crack down on these departments, and I want to see more protection for us Christians and dismantle this Marxist American educational system. It needs to complete wipeout.
Yeah, so good.
Then lastly, we need to end this. We got to start looking at technology and AI, and I think we need to start looking what Ted Kaczynski, the Unabomber, said about technology. Not everything he said, but we need to take some of his ideas and start laying it out to counterfeit this AI technology. But other than that, that's pretty much it.
Yeah. What about the border wall?
Oh, that's gonna get finished. Hey, I tell you what, if I see Tom Homan?
Tom Homan, yeah.
I saw him here last year and he spoke to me for like 10 minutes by myself. If I see him again this year, and if Trump gives me a pardon, I'll apply for ICE. Give me a job, baby. I live in Phoenix. Let's do it. I'll apply for ICE.
Yeah, you want to deport them yourselves.
I just want to arrest them. You do the rest.
What about
I'm a family guy.
Yeah.
I want their families to be put together.
Yeah.
I don't want to separate them. We put them all in one room.
And then ship them out.
We're going to go to their school, open the door, be like, this is you? Okay. Hey, mom and dad's waiting over here. Let's go.
Yeah,
boom.
Go back to where you
We're not separating you. So,
yeah. Irvin, what would you like to see Trump tackle?
If we're being very honest, it would have to be yes. People underestimate how down bad we are in terms of the immigration issue. It does actually inform a lot of the other underlying issues. We were actually commenting on like how all these, I don't want to get into necessarily the current goings-ons, but, there clearly is a sickness in this country that, morally, spiritually, everything, and there's only so much that the individuals can do. You can, Jesus walked into places with prostitutes and what have you. And there's only so much heavy lifting you can do, but it is a sick world that we have. And how it ties back to immigration, it's like, we don't know what these people are capable of. I hear all these horrifying stories, which again, I'm not going to get too graphic into.
I live in the neighborhood. I see it every day. It's not America.
And it's like,
no.
We're literally importing that problem into here.
There's no reason why our streets and our buildings and our culture, everything that makes America great, we should be representing and resembling cities like St. Petersburg, Russia, Beijing, China,
even Japan.
Moscow, Tokyo, Japan. There is no reason why our cities cannot be that beautiful, even our small towns.
Safe,
clean, yes,
open. You can ride the subway without getting Daniel Pennied.
And they were like, "Oh, you're not going to have all these rights and liberties." No, I can still carry. If I have my CCW, I could ride a train with my gun. But there's nothing wrong with having other solutions to keep them clean and enforcement. Just, we're falling apart. Phoenix is nice, but you go to St. Petersburg or Moscow or Tokyo, Japan. Tokyo is if you want to talk about advancement, we nuked those guys. And look where they're at now.
Yeah.
But also that's part of the reason why they have a high suicide rate and why men are watching anime porn. That's a different topic for another day, guys. I think they're good right there.
Yeah, that's going out in the weeds on that one.
Yeah, and I would just want Trump to just tackle, of course, finish the wall, deport Abuelita, cut government spending, and make America great again.
Yeah, I appreciate that.
Yeah. Merry Christmas, guys.
Yeah, Merry Christmas.
Christmas.
Yeah.
Yep.
Appreciate that. Yeah.